back at it again today. We got a great topic today. I always say the topic is great, but we got a good topic today. It's about talking about reaching your what is the topic? I never know the topic. What is the topic?
You know how we do. We're going to be discussing the basics of you never know who the hell you're dealing with. So sometimes it's best to just chill. Prime examples are, these Karens out here, these Tanners out here. And sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes a person will just drive you to the point where that was the day that that straw broke your camel's back and it'd be on after that.
The topic is when the straw when the straw breaks the camel's back, whatever that means. I never understood that. The straw breaks how can a straw break the camel's back? I never really grasped that. But maybe Sonya can elaborate.
I mean, think about it. A camel has those two big humps where he stores water. He's walking through the desert and he can hold all that water and have a man on his back. He could be camel racing, but maybe that's the day that that camel jockey hit him with the whip and the camel's back broke because he's had enough of carrying you fools around. He's just had enough. And there have been several issues and scenarios lately that have taken place where it's been like, you know what? That's good for their ass because they had it coming doing foolery and committing shenanigans that get your ass beat. And sometimes you have it coming. Sometimes you get exactly what you ask for. And a prime example is the other day I had to pick up Rick from somewhere and this fool cut me off in a merging lane. I was literally in front of him, and you know how two lanes turn into one, so the car behind you has to wait. Not this fool. This fool comes racing on the side of me in one lane, so he wouldn't have to wait for the merge. Cuts me off. Of course, I go down on the car horn like, and I'm all like, what the F are you doing? And this fool was getting ready to give it to me, and I rolled down the window, but he didn't see Rick in the passenger seat. So when Rick looked over at the window, homeboy changed his whole entire attitude, didn't have nothing to say, speeds off, and then makes an abrupt right turn like he didn't even want no smoke at all. So he was about to give me all the smoke in the world, but as soon as he seen, in usual cowardice, that there was a man with me, he had nothing to say, and then he jolted off like the punk that he was. Why? Because he got exactly what he was asking for. Sometimes it just bees like that.
Hey, that's what it is, but I still don't know what the straw had to do with the Campbell.
I
But
told
it, I
you.
got I, you said a lot of things. You said nothing about the straw.
I did.
All right, all right, all right. Moving moving right along. But I definitely this is a subject that's really is really touch and go because what happens like people don't know who they dealing with, and a lot. You know what this really refers to? A lot of young people. A lot of young people really don't know who they dealing with because they see an old guy and shit. They be like, "This is this old square." But this old square just became a square. You don't know if this guy was a enforcer for the mob. Like old people have so much history, man. We like history books. Like you can't just read one paragraph and think you know us. Like older people, like we're like such history books. Like you don't know what you could have been a former hitman that got away. You could be a reformed criminal. You could be a mass murderer, a serial killer that never got caught. And you out here fucking around talking shit, and then you trigger him, and you his next, you end up his next victim and shit. Like you know what I'm saying? And then you could be like talking on the bus, this dude on the bus, like one thing or two. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Just take this right here. There's a lot of dudes that was like former bosses, especially like in the street life, and like you guys, like see them. You don't know they what they was, and they on a train. They done caught regular jobs and shit. These dudes was giving fucking orders. Here you come, little young motherfucker talking shit. You just triggered him. So that boss mentality goes in effect. And to become a boss, you have to move your way up the chain. Moving your way up the chain mostly is a lot of force. A lot of force, a lot of knocking motherfuckers out, a lot of other shit. Might have gave a motherfucker the ultimate. You define what the ultimate is. But anyway, you know. One thing I noticed too, like, as being a military guy too, like, you can be out here, and most of the Rangers, like, guys think like Rangers and SEALs is these buffed out motherfuckers that's like muscle heads and shit. And that is not the case. Rangers and SEALs are like these nerdy looking guys, and these motherfuckers will break you down to the very last compound. KRS-One. You know, like, they will break you down and you won't know what the fuck hit you. You don't even got to go that far. Even a good infantryman, like, you don't know. You've been a war, they war drift. Man, 48 laws of power. Know who you're dealing with. Know who you're dealing with. Most people don't know who they're dealing with. They just running off at the mouth, popping shit, and just, you know, like, you want some of this? You want some of this? And this guy's like, yeah. You know, in his head, he's like, yeah, I want all of this. You know what I'm saying? So you got...
Shout out to BDP and KRS-One. You don't realize who's shell-shocked from their wars. It don't have to be a Vietnam vet. You don't know who you dealing with. I mean, this could go back to just, you never know what kind of day someone had. You don't know what they've been through. And another thing is, you young folks don't be realizing that grown man strength and grown woman strength, it don't leave for a long, long, long time. The classic prime example is the skinny jean, locks having fool who kept taunting this older dude who was trying his damnedest, who was like, leave me alone, get out of here. Why you keep messing with me? Get out of here. Followed the homeboy up the escalator in the mall, still talking shit, talking about, I'm a blood, I'm this, I'm that. Your mans ain't saying nothing. Your mans is quiet. He's just walking along like, oh boy, this don't look like it's gonna end well, but I'm with my boy. What happens? You put your hand in this grown ass man's face. This man was at least 100 pounds heavier than you, and he was grown. You was wearing tight ass skinny jeans that you had to use one hand to keep holding up with the duck walk. And what happened? You put your hand in that man's face and you got washed. No, not even. My man washed you. No, he washed the floor with you while your man's just stood there like, damn, you got a bloody face, bloody nose, your pants is falling off, and you going to talk about damn at the end, or like, damn. Yeah, you got your ass whipped because you didn't know who you was dealing with. You thought it was an old head. You thought it was a nerd. You thought it was some square. You thought it was the L7. Well, guess what? These L7 hands was whipping your ass, though, with them skinny jeans on. Youngsters, you don't want smoke with grown folks. You don't want it. Firing shots at all you naked.
All right. So, yeah, that was I seen that clip on social media. It was funny because dude was like, you know, he's trying everything in his power. Like, leave me alone. Like, get out of here. Because one thing about, like, when you know you got them hands, like, you know you got them hands, you be like, and you size somebody up and you know it's not worth it, it's not really a notch on the belt, honestly, you're going to try everything. Because you're a fighter want to fight something that's going to be, like, worth something. Like, honestly. We don't like walkthroughs. We like, go ahead, dude, get out of here. Because you know you're going to bust him down real quick. And then, but, like, if it's a real dude, like, you're like, yeah. Like, because you want to get that notch. Like, damn, this dude was tough. Like, yo, he caught me a couple of times. I came through. Because that's just the fighter and the warrior mentality. So, a lot of people don't understand that because that, like the great Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. You know, like, and that is so true. You get that punch in the mouth, and I know a couple of you guys, or that punch in the eye when everything goes, you get that flash. Like, that flash is like a flash bang. Like, you be like, oh, you're like all discombobulated and shit. And you're like, I don't even want to go on no more. But the other guy that gave you the flash, he's like, yeah, we just getting started. The party has begun. Because he got a lot more party favors for you, buddy. He got a lot more, and he ain't going to stop. So, moral of the story of this story is, 48 Laws of Power chapter, know who you're dealing with. You got to know that, not even saying this guy's an enemy unless you make him an enemy, but you got to know who you're dealing with because things can get real. Like, what was that other thing we seen on social media? When we seen a guy, he had the next door neighbors, it was wintertime, kept putting snow in front of his house. That was tragic. That was crazy. Like, me personally, that was taking it too far, but you don't know the person's triggers. And they said this was an ongoing thing. They're putting snow in front of this guy's house, right? Then the guy's like, yo, he's constantly telling me to stop putting snow in front of my house, blah, blah. So then I see the video. The guy's like, yo, you come over here, I'm going to knock you out and blah, blah, blah. The older gentleman, but this and that. He calmly walks in the house. He gets his assault weapon, comes back out. The guy and his wife is outside. He started letting off shots. Shoots both of them. The husband, that was somebody who's going to knock him out. He's like, stop. He's running. He's not stopping now. The trigger's already in. He already know he's all in. Once the first shot fired, he hits you. He's like, I'm all in. What he does, he runs up on him, double tap. Then the wife hits her up again, goes back in his house. Did he kill himself? No, I think he killed himself. But more of the story is like, and I heard him say, should have kept your fucking mouth closed. And he went back in his house. He killed himself. At that point, he knew it was over. This guy was older. He probably was like about 65 or whatever. And it was just a horrific ending to 3 lives. But you gotta watch what you're doing out here. Because these triggers are real. You don't know what happened, if a person got fired that day. You don't know he lost his wife. He took an L at the stock market. And here you come. The last leg of the 4x4 relay. And you're going to lose all day long.
A prime example of this would be Dipset versus the Lox. Had Dipset understood who they were dealing with, the humiliation would not be following them a week later. When the Lox got keys to New York City, Yonkers, they all in ATL right now. Jada is up 200% in his music. Styles got lines out the door now for Juices for Life. Why? Because Cam, Jimmy, and Freaky Zeke was playing games. You know why? They didn't know who they was dealing with. They thought it was all about being fly and fresh and wearing 16 layers of designer clothes and looking mad hot on stage. And I don't mean hot as in cool. I mean hot as in sweating like a runaway slave. And you out there with your drug addict ass and dentures and all this shenaniganry. And what happened? The authentic Lox came and whipped your ass. They beat your ass. Prime examples of not knowing who your opponent is and thinking you just got it like that. Like my man in the skinny jeans thought he got it like that because he was a youngster. Dipset is out here thinking they got it like that because they from Harlem. Well, guess what? I'm from Harlem too. And when you a grown-ass man, no one cares about your 11 layers of designer clothes and all your nonsense. No one cares about your weatherman shenanigans and all that. All niggas want to see is who is out here doing the verses with lyrics like a true MC. And guess what? It was not Dipset. Why? Because they didn't know who they was dealing with. And in this day and age, from all the other verses, you fools came unprepared and got your asses beat. But that's what happens. When you think you got it like that. And